Hello my dear students. Today we are going to learn the second organic compounds, lipids. Like carbohydrates, lipids have carbon, hydrogen and oxygen atoms, and some lipids may have also phosphorus and nitrogen. Lipids have structural and functional role in the body, and both animals and plants can synthesize lipids. If you remember, lipids are the second energy source because the first energy source is carbohydrate, but lipid gives 2 times more energy than carbohydrates. Lipids are not soluble in water, but they are soluble in alcohol, ethyl, chloroform, benzene and acetone. And in our body there is a lipid tissue to store lipid. You see in this camel hump, camels can store lipid because this lipid gives the camel 2 times more energy, and when you dissolve the lipid it gives both energy and water. By breakdown of lipid in aerobic respiration, you are going to obtain energy and water. Therefore, the camels and the migrating birds store lipids in their body. During the hibernation period in winter, hibernation kış uykusu, and migrating period göç zamanlarında, these animals store lipid in their body. You see the polar bears during the hibernation period. Lipids can store under the skin, and the aim of this to protect body from mechanical effects, also protect body from the cold for isolation. And women have thicker lipid layer under their skin than men, so they are more resistant to cold than men. These are the types of lipids. Triglyceride, the second name is neutral lipids. We are going to learn this one. And triglyceride is the 90% of the lipids. Phospholipids in the structure of cell membrane, and glycolipids also in the structure of cell membrane. But steroids are can be found in cholesterol or some kind of hormones, sex hormones. Let's learn the triglyceride. Triglycerides, neutral lipids, have 2 monomers. What are these monomers? What's monomer? Monomer is the building block, and the monomers of triglyceride is glycerol and fatty acids. So this is the dehydration synthesis reaction of triglyceride. One glycerol molecule is bonded to the 3 fatty acids. One triglyceride molecule is produced and 3 water molecules are released. And there is a bond, it's called ester bond or ester linkage between fatty acid and glycerol inside the triglyceride molecule. This is the simple structure of triglyceride, and there are 3 bonds here, and these bonds are called ester bond. You see this is ester bond, and the yellow ones are fatty acids, 3 fatty acid molecule, and this one is glycerol. You see from each bond 1 water molecule is released. Therefore, in the dehydration synthesis reaction, there are 3 bonds, so there are 3 water molecules. There are 3 water molecules are released. You know that the triglycerides have fatty acid in their structure, but fatty acids have different 2 types. It's called saturated and unsaturated fatty acid. In Turkish, saturated means doymuş. Unsaturated means doymamış. If the fatty acid is saturated, it fills with hydrogen, or all the bonds of carbon is occupied with hydrogen. If it's not saturated, it's unsaturated, then there are some double bond between carbon atoms. So the first difference is all the carbon atoms has single bond, but in unsaturated one there are at least one double bond in the structure of fatty acid between the carbon atoms. Saturated fatty acids are solid in room temperature, but unsaturated ones are liquid in room temperature. Saturated fatty acids found in animals, but unsaturated fatty acid found mostly in plants, such as olive oil. You see, this double bond structure enables molecule to make an angle like that. It's not a straight like saturated one, and therefore there are some empty place between the molecules, and these empty places make the molecule cannot get closer. Therefore they are liquid in the room temperature. You see, there is a stearic acid in the structure of butter, and you see it's solid in room temperature, and these fatty acids are straight because there is no double bond, and all these are saturated. But in the oleic acid in the structure of olive oil, you see there is one double bond here, and this double bond makes the molecule make an angle. Therefore there are some empty place here, and it gives the molecule cannot get closer to each other. Therefore it's liquid like olive oil. What's essential fatty acids? Essential fatty acids are the fatty acids that cannot be synthesized by human. Therefore we should take the essential fatty acids from the outside, and one of them is omega fatty acids, and we can obtain omega fatty acids from the chestnut or the fish. How the margarines are formed? Margarines are produced by adding hydrogen atoms to the unsaturated fatty acid. Therefore margarines are trans fat. You see, in some foods you are going to see some kind of label like that, trans fat. There is no trans fat or zero trans fat, because trans fats is important for our heart health. What is trans fat? Trans fat can be by hydrogenation procedure. What's hydrogenation? You take unsaturated fatty acid or any vegetable oil, and you are going to add some hydrogen atoms to the double bonds, and you are going to obtain a saturated fatty acid. Therefore it's going to be solid in the room temperature. And trans fats prefers, because human prefers trans fats in the food because it stay fresh longer for a long time. Therefore they prefer trans fats, but trans fat is not good for your health, because trans fat rises your bad cholesterol, LDL. LDL means low density lipoprotein, and lowers your good cholesterol, HDL, and this is the high density lipoprotein. High density lipoprotein, actually these high density and low density lipoproteins are the structure how your body blood vessels carry the lipid. If the LDL is increasing, then it may block your blood vessels. It may accumulate in your blood vessels, and your blood vessels can be blocked. Therefore, some kind of health diseases may occur, and trans fat increases the amount of bad cholesterol, LDL. The second one is the second type of the lipids are phospholipids. They are found in the structure of cell membrane. They are the main components of cell membrane. Like triglycerides, there is a glycerol molecule and two fatty acids. But instead of the third fatty acids, there is a phosphate group. You see this phosphate group, and these are the fatty acids, saturated or unsaturated. If we look at this figure, the phosphate group part of the phospholipid is hydrophilic, loves water, but the fatty acid side is hydrophobic, hates water. This structure makes the phospholipid bilayer. Bi means two. There is one layer and this is the second layer, and the hydrophilic part is outside of the cell membrane and inside of the cell membrane, but between there is a hydrophobic in where the components of water cannot easily pass through. So if this is the inside of cell and this is the outside of the cell, water, this hydrophobic part keeps the ingredients of the cell inside. Glycolipids have again glycerol molecule, again fatty acids, but they may have some rings, not rings, the chains of glucose or galactose molecule attached on the glycerol molecule, and this molecule is mostly found in the structure of cell membrane and in the neuron cells. Steroids are the only lipids without fatty acids. Actually, steroids do not have a fatty acid and glycerol structure. They are totally different, and one of the examples is the cholesterol. And sex hormones like testosterone and estrogen and vitamin D are steroids. It has 4 carbon ring structure. The figure of the cholesterol, for example, you see 4 carbon ring structure and some organic molecules is adding here. This is the structure. Cholesterol make the cell membrane permeability, increases the cell membrane permeability. Therefore, cholesterol is found again in the structure of cell membrane and work as an isolation material in the nerve cell, the myelin sheath. And we can obtain the cholesterol in our food if we eat cheek, kidney or brain or animal lipid. You see, this is the structure, 4-ring structure of cholesterol. There is a disease called arteriosclerosis. Arteriosclerosis is the blocking of blood vessels by the accumulation of cholesterol. Which type of cholesterol? LDL, low density lipoprotein, and it results because of the transfer. Why the lipids are important for human body? We mentioned about that it's in an energy source, gives 2 times more energy. It has in the cell membrane, like cholesterol, like phospholipid, like glycolipid. It isolates the body from mechanical effects and from cold, and it gives water, much amount of water when dissolved with aerobic respiration, and it works as an hormone like steroids, testosterone and estrogen. And the last important part is some vitamins, lipid soluble vitamins. These are A, D, A and K. These vitamins, lipids, are lipid soluble. And these vitamins can be dissolved, should be dissolved in lipid and should be kept in the lipid forms in our body. And thank you. This is the end of the lipids.